How about what's behind me, dude? Like, looks bassy as hell, right? Stay on there. There's been all this kind of like hurrah about this Ultimate Angler Championship. So it's going to be this big event, and probably there's some high points to it, right? Like some big significant deals. One, it pays more than any other tournament out there. Prize numero uno is $500,000, $500,000, dude. Probably one of the biggest payouts since I think that Forest Wood Cup where they paid out $1 million. And what's even cooler, and this is where I kind of think it's neat, is it's a blue collar tournament. Like there's all these pathways to qualification. You did have to pay $500 to be like a part of it, but you could qualify through the ABA. You could qualify through the Opens. You could qualify through the Toyota Series. There's all these pathways to qualification. And that means it's gonna be a mix of your hashtag pro guys and a mix of your like average Joe blue collar, I smash them on the weekends kind of dudes. And those are my guys, those are my people, right? But $500,000, my buddy's even fishing it. Dude, he's like a truck driver. He fishes all the weekend derbies. Like that's legit, right? What's interesting is the format. So it's actually like a joint venture between the state of Alabama and then all these sponsors that got together to kind of put the money together. So it's a different approach to tournament fishing. Instead of having some big tournament organization, it's actually kind of geared from like a tourism and like conservation kind of, they want you to come fish Guntersville, obviously, right? But it's kind of geared through the state and then through all these sponsors that they kind of gathered around it, which is super cool, right? Like it's a different approach, and it's sort of a state sort of fighting or a body of water fighting independently for like a big highlight and a big event. The other thing is it's a no forward facing tournament, which for this lake, as you can see behind me, is like the perfect fit, right? It's going to be an absolute, and we're going to talk about patterns in a second, it's going to be an absolute frogging and flipping fest. It's going to be a great tournament to watch. That's one of the questions though. It's like, what's the coverage going to look like? Is there going to be live coverage? Is it going to be something you can watch on TV? Like that is something that I think guys are wondering. So there's a couple funky things too. So no nets, no A-rigs. So they're trying to do Bassmaster Classic Iconelli, you know, like, oh my God, you know, that kind of deal. But no A-rigs either, and that could be a player, so they're taking that out of the mix. FFS, you can't use it, so that's going to kind of change up the bite. But then the other thing too is you got to bring your own marshal, which is kind of weird because it's been so hard to find co-anglers for a lot of these Toyota Series tournaments. So you actually have to go find somebody like your buddy and be like, hey dude, will you come marshal? Like I think it's like a 3-day tournament and just hang out. And then it's not even, they're not even the marshal for your boat. They get all mixed up in the pot and sent into different boats, and then they marshal whoever's in front of them. So that's kind of interesting because that's going to be the keep them honest deal. And it's going to be a lot of guys kind of getting thrown into the mix and having to watch and sort of moderate behaviors and moderate rules kind of without being well practiced, I guess you could say. I'm not one who kind of hypes up the whole cheater-weeder kind of deal, but it does make you wonder a little bit if the rules are going to be, they're pretty simple and straightforward. You can find them online. I'll put a link to them down in the description box if you guys want to check them out. But it does make you wonder if there might not be a little bit of schmoozing and boozing. I don't know. You know, inexperience leads to accidents. It doesn't mean people are trying to cheat, but it can lead to some infractions that aren't caught and things like that. However, overall, I think it's going to be one of the most ridiculous tournaments that you see because this lake is setting up as an absolute smash fest, dude. Big bags all year round, dude. There's been big bags over 20 pounds, 25, 30, 28, 27, and even without forward facing. And we're going into that time of year where it can be tough, but the grass has set up so well on this lake. I think as it cools off here, we're getting some of those cool mornings, you're gonna see guys throwing chatterbaits, dude, doing some of the techniques that I talked about where you're burning that chatterbait for schooling fish, things along those lines. You're gonna see guys flipping this stuff like I've been doing. You guys have seen a bunch of the flipping videos. We're using a heavy weight, we're punching. You can use a little lighter weight, fish some of this sparser stuff around the pads and even around docks. That's gonna be a sneaky one too, flipping some of the docks. And then of course, frogging, dude. And all different kinds of frogging, whether it's the buzz frogging, whether it's a poppin' frog in the little more open sparse stuff, or like those zoo pop. A lot of guys have been like really into the zoo pop and the zoo dog series. Basically like a hard popper, but in a hollow body style bait, and then a walk the dog spook style bait. You can fish it in some of this semi kind of thick grass, but different variations of frog fishing are going to play a lot. So it's gonna be like an old school kind of slam bang style tournament. The other thing is the river. We all saw Dustin Connell go and win up at the dam, dude. He was way up there, dude. And that's gonna be a player too, because now everybody knows there's smallmouth, there's big spotted bass, and then there's big largemouth lingering there in the current. So it's going to be a super interesting tournament, both from a context standpoint, like it's average guys going and chasing like the prize pack of a lifetime, $500,000, dude. Can you imagine if you won $500,000 and you were just kind of, you know, fishing the ABA, the 150s or something like that? Like, you could like hedge your career off that. It'd be freaking insane. And then the open guys, a bunch of kids, you know, middle-aged guys who kind of fish on the weekend. Like, it's a real cool opportunity on what I think is one of the best venues right now when it comes to tournament fishing. I'm not saying it's the best lake in the country, but when it comes to tournament lakes, Lake Guntersville is probably one of the best tournament lakes in the country. It's not easy, but there's a lot of fish, there's a lot of bigs, and there's a lot of different ways to catch them, from current to grass to suspended fish to topwater fish. There's gonna be schooling fish like spook fish. Like, it's gonna be freaking cool, and it's a great example of how these states can really kind of host their own events. Like, I mean, I like MLF, I like Bassmaster, you know, they're classic kind of like tournament organizations, but what's interesting is this sort of like turns that model upside down and makes it so states can kind of do their own little Disney World of bass fishing and highlight the fisheries and highlight what they got going on in the lake and water department on their own, dude. They can get a group of sponsors behind it and create an event that literally shakes up like the fishing industry, that shakes up fishing, you know, on the whole, dude. And I think that's cool, and it opens opportunity for guys like us, like average dudes who, you know, fish on the weekends. You know, we love the sport, we're passionate about it, but it's an opportunity for us to win like pro angler money, being a hashtag, you know, Angler Joe kind of stuff. I think this is one of the solutions that's sort of being approached, and I think you're gonna see more of it. But here's the deal. Tune in for that Ultimate Angler Championship. If you guys are down here hanging out at Guntersville Tackle and Outdoors, come on down. I'm gonna be kind of coming down and mingling and stuff because I wanna see how this goes down. I'm gonna keep an eye for like the live tournament action because I'm hoping they stream some of this stuff or at least put some videos on because I wanna see what these guys are doing. And the other thing is, dude, like, think about it. Think about it. Does this really kind of solve some of the problems we've been talking about with tournament fishing? Is this sort of one of the solutions? Let me know kind of down in the comments box. I'm kind of curious what your perspective is with this being one of the biggest, if not the biggest payout like for tournaments ever. I mean, especially on like the AM Pro end, dude. Like, it's not a Forrest Wood Cup for $1 million, but anybody can fish it. Like, or if you qualify, anybody can fish it. So it's a big deal, and it sort of shakes things up. It's either gonna make it or it's gonna crap the bed. That's the way this stuff works. But I wanna know what you guys think. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm actually gonna go get out a frog and go whoop, 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 and hopefully one goes but hit that like and subscribe and hit that hype button for me down below, dude. Later, my homies.